Hello, welcome to the video. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Star Wars speeder bike. Now, this bike was made by Hasbro. It's a 1/6 scale speeder bike, so it's pretty large. It's actually 24 inches long, and the Scout Trooper that goes on top is 12 inches tall. Now, I've been in love with the speeder bike ever since Star Wars first came out, but recently I've been watching Mandalorian, and I'm sure you've seen these Scout Troopers here on these lighter colored speeder bikes. Now normally these speeder bikes are brown, and now they are this grayish white color. And so I wanted to take the speeder bike here shown from Hasbro and turn it into basically this bike. So this is from Sideshow. These bikes cost around $300 or more, but I wanted to take the bigger Hasbro version and modify it. So what I've done here is I've taken the speeder bike apart. It takes maybe 5-10 minutes to take this entire bike apart, 11 screws, and so you kind of have to do some additional disassembly. Now these kind of just pop off, and the cords just go into these little holes. They're not glued in place or anything, they just slide right out. Same thing with the foot pedals here, it just pops right off. I did mask off this large section underneath. Now this should stay black for the most part. It's just this front portion that needs to be painted. And I did end up sanding a lot of this because I did do an initial test with some paint and it bubbled up on me. So I decided to go back and sand everything down, and came out with a much better result. So I just want to show you here all the parts. Once you take this apart, this is kind of what you're ending up with. I had to do some masking obviously here on these flaps. Now you actually don't have to mask these will pop off. I didn't realize how easily they popped off, so I just decided to mask them with this first bike that I did. But you do have to make sure you have everything properly masked before you start with your paint. So if you take a look here, this is after a coat of, it's kind of a white gray paint. It kind of looks gray on, but it's actually a white color. And I'll show you what color I used later on. This part right up here next to the controls is a little bit difficult to get, so make sure you really get in there, change your angle when you're spraying your paint, so that you can really fill in that area, otherwise it'll stay brown. Here you can see the speed, or those flaps, mud flaps, I guess, engine flaps have been removed. But you can see where I kind of masked off the seat there. Here, this was masked, but you can see where there's some white overspray, and this white cord that runs to the blaster that goes on the bottom obviously needs to be painted again, and that's not a big deal. I just wanted to make sure the major parts were covered before I put on that coat of paint. So this is basically done. What I've done here is you can see that I've removed some of the masking. I've started to paint this control panel here. I've painted some of these switches black. Now the other ones need to be red. This appears to be an intake, so I painted that black, and then you'll see how it kind of weathers later when I'm completely finished. Seat looks great. All I did was mask that and then pull the tape off. Here I've gone back in with some matte black and just painted any overspray that may have occurred with that first initial white or whatever grayish color. And then I put the blaster back into place and I painted the cord that same matte black just to make sure everything looks right. Now these are kind of the, they're not saddlebags, but they're kind of the hips of the speeder bike that go in the back. And I realized after I had painted it that you do need to paint the inside of these black, because you can see it once the bike is assembled. So you need to paint the inside of them black, and you also need to paint this back part black, otherwise it's just brown. And when you put the little engine cover or whatever that is back in place here, you can see the brown. So I decided to paint that black. Now this is the, I guess this is what they call it, the terrain adjustment system or something like that. Anyway, that went together very nicely. The paint came out great there. But again, you do need to sand everything before you paint. And once you're finished, put it all back together. This is the figure. So the figure is stark white when you get it. I mean, it is fresh white. It's tall, it's really big, fully posable, but super white. So I took some brown shoe polish and painted it on and then kind of rubbed it off. And you can see here with this result what it looks like. Also with the bikes, I weathered the bikes using some kind of a mix of black paint, matte black, as well as some gray. And then you can see here where I kind of got the control panel again with the black, the red, the white, and obviously the Scout Trooper himself being more dirty, you know, like he's in the desert. He is a desert Scout Trooper at this point. And you can see what both bikes look like. I'm really pleased with the result. Here I added a little bit of motion blur to this picture so it really looks like they're moving. And then this is just a quick video that I took of the finished product, so you can really see, you know, the detail with the weathering, what the figures really look like, weathered with that brown shoe polish that I put on there. And again, once you put it on, you really want to rub it off, you know, within a minute and make sure that it doesn't really stick. And if it sticks, you can take a scrub pad and get it off, but you know, they should be weathered pretty well. Here I did add a little bit of gold dry brush to that engine cover on the back, and there's a lot of subtle things that you won't really see until you actually if you actually purchase the bike, or you can actually hold it in your hand. But the hoses, I did some dry brushing with some light silver. That intake right here next to his knee that you can see, I did some dry brushing there with some silver to kind of weather that. And then obviously here, this is at the front, the terrain system, and then this is the front cowl. So everything, you know, I took my time and really wanted to make sure this looked as good as it did in the Mandalorian. I like this color much better than the brown speeder bikes that were in Return of the Jedi, and I like it better. To me, Return of the Jedi doesn't make sense to have speeder bikes. Why on earth would you be riding through a forest on a speeder bike that looks like it's going 90 to 100 miles an hour and there's trees everywhere? Makes no sense. So why wouldn't you just do like they did here and use them in the desert, which makes much more sense. Vast open lands, no trees to run into, and this is the final result. So I'm really happy with it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. These are for sale. You can check eBay, you can check Facebook Marketplace, as well as a couple of other sites that I've listed these on. Again, I have 3 of them. 2 of them do have troopers, 1 does not. Everything's fully functional. I have everything in their original boxes, so that's how they'll ship out. But I just wanted to add some context to video so you can see the process that I went through to create these. So thanks for watching.